Hello and welcome to MTM Vegas. I'm Sean, joined by Miles Memories managing editor Mark Osterman, and we're going to talk about Vegas news this week, including updates on our stays at the Cromwell and at Nobu. And then we're going to talk about hotels closing midweek, the Vegas visitor numbers, so much to go over. Stick around. Let's get into it. Mark, how was your stay? You were actually staying at Caesar's Palace, or you originally
Yeah.
booked the Cromwell, then got moved to Caesar's Palace. But last week you were telling us that you were trying to get upgraded to Nobu. How'd that go?
Yeah, so I called the VIP. I just called the regular number, and they sent me over to Caesars, and I told them what I wanted to try to get into Nobu if possible. So they sent me to the VIP line because I have diamond status. So I talked to them, and they said what I can do is put it in there for you that you're requesting it, and then when you check in, if they have a room available, we'll give it to you. So I went to the Caesars Diamond check-in, and it took forever, which was kind of annoying. But after like 10 minutes, I finally got up there and told her that everything. She called over. They said it was fine to just head over to Nobu. So I headed over to Nobu, and they have their own little check-in, like right by the elevators to go, when you go up to that tower, which I would say is probably the biggest perk of staying there. If you're paying cash, you still get that. It's not like a status thing where they do have the diamond check-in or 7 stars at Caesars. Nobu has its own specific check-in, so it's not really like a lobby. It's just a little small desk right by the elevator, but there's never anybody in line, which I think is probably the coolest perk of it.
Yeah, I think the location of Nobu is great, where the hotel is, where the tower that they use for it is, right in the middle of the casino. I stayed at Nobu too, and I have some thoughts on it. Just anybody's watching the channel, I'll have full reviews of Nobu and the Cromwell coming in the next week. I also stayed at the Cromwell on opening night, and Mark, I have to admit that I was a little disappointed with the room. I feel like all of the other Caesars properties have been renovated now, and the room felt a little bit dated. I don't know. It wasn't bad
Sean's
at
just
all.
dissing one of my favorite places. That's all. You just got to hate on it because I like it.
I mean, I do. I've always loved the casino there. I've always loved it there. I had never stayed there before. I just feel like, having stayed at pretty much every Caesars property this year since the reopening, that it doesn't quite measure up. But we'll save that kind of for the review. But it was really nice to see it open, and it seemed to be pretty busy the day that it opened. So that was good to see. And Nobu was a surprise too, but I don't know, maybe a little bit of a spoiler. We'll talk about this maybe more in the review, but I'm not sure that Nobu is really worth it, the premium over staying at Caesar's Palace. But you think so with the private check-in desk and stuff? Maybe around double the price is what it was for the night that we
Yeah, I
stayed.
mean, I think it depends on what the price difference is. Double. I mean, if you're talking like $40 for one, $80 for the other, double doesn't sound that bad. But if it's $200 to $400, double's a lot worse. So I think you got to look at the value of that. The room, I wasn't overly impressed with the room. I actually like the Cromwell rooms better, which you will probably hate on in your review, but they do feel a little bit older, a little bit dated. It's still nice. Like they have the robes, the slippers, the bathroom's big. And they're working with an older hotel. It's like, what is it? The second tower originally that they refurbished in Nobu.
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely one of the original towers in the older part of the building. So
Yeah, so you're working with a smaller room than the newer towers have. So but when I was walking through, on Thursday and then Friday, there was huge lines of people waiting to check in at Caesars, which that's a huge perk. I mean, you could stand in that line for like an hour. And I think when you originally stayed there, you ended up staying in that line for a long time, even though it wasn't very busy.
I'm not there because when I stay there, I go to the Diamond check-in. I have had some lines having to wait at other properties for that, because Caesars is all about the kiosks these days, getting everybody to check in on the kiosks. But if you've ever been to like a self checkout or something, like half the people can't accomplish stuff with the technology. It either doesn't work right or whatever. So yeah, there's definitely lines, and I will give you that the little desk, and it's cool that the little, I hate to even call it a check-in desk at Nobu, because it's just this little desk right where the elevators are, but that serves a great purpose. You get your stuff, you're right upstairs. It does give it that sort of boutique hotel feel, and I really like the public area, so I can't wait to show that to people, like where the gym is, and there's like a lounge area on one of the floors with the really kind of nice, relaxing music, and just a very nice kind of upscale Asian type vibe that kind of reminded me of some of the nicer hotels in Asia. So can't wait to show everybody that, and we'll have that on the channel. Like I said, in the next week and a half, along with the Cromwell as well. And let's move on
One thing.
to. Oh, go ahead.
Well, one thing before we move on, I wanted to bring up one thing. One of the days I was there, the total rewards or Caesar rewards comps was like completely down. The system was down, so you couldn't use your comps at any of the restaurants, any of the shops. You couldn't use your $100 celebration dinner, which I found super annoying. And they weren't willing to do anything. And I was like, I'm not going to be back. I'd like to use this dinner. And she's like, well, it rolls over into next year. And I'm like, that's fine, but I want to use it today. We had plans. We were going to go to a nice steakhouse and all that. So she was like, it does roll over till next year. And I'm like, I already understood that, but I wanted to verify that if I earn one next year as well, and I still haven't used the one from this year, that I can hold on to two in my account. And she said, yes, that is, you can do that. So you could actually have two next year, especially if you have Founders Card. And then if they extend the status match thing with them, then you'll get it in February. So you'll have two in February if you haven't used yours from this year. So that's pretty cool.
I thought you were just lying to me because you didn't want to spend any of your celebration dinner on me. But then I saw on Twitter that other people had confirmed that the comps were down. So I believed you. We ended up going to Ellis Island instead, which to see their expansion there, and that was really fun. Ellis Island's a really cool place if you've never been there, and the prices are like crazy cheap. Like it's cheaper than many local places I would go. And of course,
beer was like $3 for their brewery, and the food, we both had dinner and it was like $25 or something like that. Like super cheap. The outdoor patio area is amazing. The garden area, I think they call it. They did a really good job with that. It's pretty nice. It was
$25 for both of us.
Yeah.
Just to point that out. It was like, and you had like, I don't remember what you had, like a grilled cheese and something else. And I had a salad, and I added a steak on top of the salad, and it was still $25. Crazy how cheap that was. But we know we love Ellis Island. I'll probably throw some Ellis Island footage in the Cromwell video because it was that same day. And so look for that. And let's talk about the visitor stats. I've done these as separate videos in the past, but I think just kind of hitting the visitor stats every month in this show will be good. And they came in for September, and some pretty good news, I'd say. Of course, Las Vegas isn't back to where it was before, but we're definitely seeing an improvement month to month and some interesting changes in the visitor numbers. And for September, 1.7 million people visited Las Vegas, and that was up almost 11% from August. So we continue to see that increase from June to July to August and now September, but we're still 51% lower than a year ago. So the year-over-year changes are pretty significant. It's still pretty rough, but there were some other kind of signs of hope that stood out. Occupancy was up about 4% month to month. RevPAR, which is the revenue per available room, actually was up 19.4% from August to September, with the strip revenue per available room going from about $45 up to $54. So they're getting more money per room, Mark, and people are coming back slowly. And again, this is September. This was expected after Labor Day to kind of slow down, and it shows that Vegas got busier.
Yeah, it was good to see. I also found it interesting that the room rate was about $108 per night on average, which was only 21% down from the year before and 9% up compared to last month. So even though RevPAR is off by like half, they're still getting a decent room rate. It's just they're not filling up all the rooms. So I found that pretty interesting. And I'm surprised because, you've seen like $9 rooms and $30 rooms. So they must have some higher end hotels that are filling in that $100. But it's good to see.
Yeah, we saw in September, in that time frame, we saw Wynn sort of start raising their rates. And I do also think that when they comp players, they're actually taking the rack rate and factoring it in. I think that helps a little bit. The other thing that really stood out to me was the gaming revenue downtown, because it took a huge jump. In August, it was about just shy of $36 million. And in September, it was almost $52 million. So 45% increase month to month. and only down about 21% from last year. And last month, when I talked about the numbers, we saw the Boulder Strip uh, local market that it was almost to 2019 levels. And in September, it actually passed that. So September of 2019, there was over 74 million in revenue. September of 2020, over 75 million in revenue. So those Boulder local casinos actually increased almost 2% year over year. And it just shows that there is demand for casinos, especially from locals. And as travel opens back up, I expect the recovery in Las Vegas to become more robust. And those downtown numbers are really great, especially considering that Circa just opened, which will draw even more people downtown. And I expect we'll see, as we get numbers that reflect November, that we'll see huge increases downtown. And yeah, so it's good numbers. We will leave a link to these, to the full numbers so you guys can check them out. And we're going to continue to cover them every month. Any other takeaways, Mark, from what you saw here?
No, nothing really. I am curious to see October numbers for downtown, mainly because of Circa. I know it was like towards the end of the month, so I don't think it will hit as big as it will in November. But the couple days that we were there, the crowds were big. And then even you said in your Circa review that just walking around Fremont Street during the day was a lot busier than you had seen in weeks past because of drawing people into Circa. So that'll be good to see. I wouldn't be surprised if they close the gap quite a bit in the next couple months versus what the Strip will kind of lag a little bit. So looking forward to it.
There's a downtown Vegas tour video on the channel from a few weeks ago, and that was filmed, I think, on the same day of the week as the Circa video, just a couple weeks before. And you can see the difference. There was almost nobody there during the day out on Fremont Street. And then with Circa, of course, so many people. And that's to be expected, but it's good news for downtown Las Vegas. And we're going to have a separate MTM Vegas video just talking about Circa. So look for that on the channel. And then, of course, I did the full tour. So if you want to see what Circa looks like from all kinds of different angles, check out that video as well. Now, we talked about occupancy and those types of things, but we did also get some news this week that's sort of, I guess, bad, and that's that MGM is considering closing certain facilities, properties midweek. And this isn't, to kind of back up, this isn't something that's uncommon. November, outside of Thanksgiving, and then early December, kind of all the way up to Christmas, are very, very slow times in Las Vegas, historically the slowest times of the year. And we often have seen in the past restaurants and other facilities closing midweek, even in normal times. But I would expect that we're going to see that even more now. And Caesars has had Planet Hollywood. They just reopened only that's closed midweek, but they reopened the hotel for the weekends. Link has actually been open for a few months, only on the weekends, the hotel portion of Link, while the casino remained open. And then we learned that Park MGM, which just reopened not too long ago, will now be closing down midweek. And this was their big experiment with smoke-free. But of course, the casino is going to stay open, Mark. So only the hotel is closing. So maybe the smoke-free part is working for them and they just not selling the rooms. But it's kind of
It didn't seem like it when we walked through.
Yeah. I will say Mark and I were there last week, and it was not very busy at all in the casino. And I mean, real quick, what were your thoughts? That was your first time going into Park MGM after the transition from Monte Carlo was completed. What did you think of it?
I mean, the casino was a little bit of a letdown. It felt like basically it was still the Monte Carlo casino. So I didn't really notice any change on the gaming floor, like refresh carpet maybe, but the layout was pretty much the same, and all that was the same. I did like the park area attached to it that goes around it. Nomad looked amazing. That looks like a property that I definitely want to check out. The lobby and the bar area looked really cool. There was like nobody there, but it did look pretty nice. And then Italy was a really cool place. Lots of good choices. Tons of stuff that you can get: wine, cheese. Pizza. There was like 4 different pizza places, but yeah, I guess I liked the surrounding area of it, and it did look nice, but the actual, I would never gamble there. It just seemed like Monte Carlo all over again.
Yeah, the casino isn't much different. They did remodel some of the spaces there, and then of course the whole frontage. And I think they spent $500 million on that. And I always have thought, since the first time I saw Park MGM, I don't know where all the money went. Of course, the rooms are renovated and they seem nice enough, but they're not fancy in any way. So I mean, we'll see, but we do know that they've been struggling to get people into that hotel, and the rates have been really low. I've seen American Express, no, not through Chase Luxury Hotels and Resorts, like $79 per night with $100 credit and $60 breakfast. So they've really struggled to get people in there. And it is closing from Monday at noon till Thursday at noon, the Park MGM Hotel. But the casino and the pool area, they say, will remain open along with the restaurants. I don't know who's going to be at the pool. I guess the Nomad Hotel guests, because Nomad Hotel will stay open. Just Park MGM will be closed. So, yeah, I mean, this isn't a huge surprise. I wouldn't be surprised if we see other properties announce things like this. We know that Wynn announced that Encore is closing midweek, the Encore Tower at Wynn. And we will probably see other towers, other portions of properties close because you saw the numbers with the occupancy are just really low, and we're going to go into a time where occupancy is historically low. So, kind of through the end of the year, I would expect prices to continue to be cheap, and then of course some things to be closed. And a lot of restaurants, a lot of things that people like about Vegas is already closed, and I expect even more of it to be closed if you're going to come Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that they're keeping the casinos and a lot of the restaurants still open, even though the hotel's not going to be open. Because if you're not getting enough people in the hotel, I doubt people are going to the Strip like locals to just gamble. That's why you're seeing the numbers in the local casinos doing better because that's where they go to gamble. So I don't know where they're going to get that. And you had mentioned maybe it's because of the exterior park area. They're trying to keep that in case people are checking it out to come into the casino, but I feel like they're just spending a lot of money to keep it functioning while nobody's walking through. I mean, we were there on a Thursday afternoon at like 3 p.m. and there was, less than 20 people in there, I would say, as we walked through. So I don't know. They know more than us on the cost aspect of it, but it just seems strange.
Well, they did say in their earnings call, and that's where they kind of first announced this was going to happen, that all of their properties in Vegas, with the exception of Park MGM, are profitable right now. So their last time that they had given guidance, Mandalay Bay was not profitable, but everything else was. Mandalay Bay apparently now is profitable. And so Park MGM is the one property they're losing money on. Maybe they still want to give that smoke-free experiment more time, and that's why they're leaving the casino open, or they don't want to admit failure because they just reopened it. Maybe they shouldn't have done that, but time will tell. But the visitor numbers show us good traction in the right direction. And it's kind of interesting to know that MGM is making money on their properties, that they've been able to scale everything back to the point where they're not losing money. And I'm kind of sad about Park MGM closing. I'm always sad about the struggles that Vegas is seeing, but it's not a huge surprise. And I expect that come the holidays, that hopefully things will get better. And let us know what you think about the visitor numbers, about Cromwell, Nobu, and of course about Park MGM and closures midweek. Have you ever visited here midweek during November, December, the really slow season? And how did it compare in the past to maybe some busier times? Let us know, leave a comment, smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
See you next week.